All right, so it's been 72 hours with the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra. I'm back home from Samsung Galaxy Unpacked. It was a great event, by the way. But now I want to talk about my real world use in these past 3 days. Limited, but now I'm starting to gather a little bit more thoughts of daily driving this phone, from using it on the airplane to some gaming and kind of scrolling, using it for the performance, charging speeds and things like that, and just my limited use of battery, seeing how the battery has performed the past 3 days and kind of talking a little bit more about it. So let's get right into the design and the build. The build is still really premium. And I know a lot of people may talk about how they switched back to aluminum from titanium, but honestly, I really don't mind too much. But it's using Gorilla Armor 2 on the front of the phone, and it is slightly thinner than its predecessor at 7.9 millimeters, and it is, I think, like 4 to 5 grams lighter. And you can actually feel it. It does feel much lighter in the hand, especially when you have the S25 Ultra to compare. It just feels a little bit lighter. So I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate how it's a little bit thinner while still retaining a lot of the performance, like the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I'll tell you this, after 72 hours, I don't have any scratches on my display, which is great, and obviously no flexes as to be expected. This phone is big, so for those who don't like big phones, this may be a phone that's not for you, but if you do like big phones, then yeah, this is going to be great. This is Samsung's most serious phone. This is the phone that Samsung really talks about throughout the entirety of the event. And if you see like marketing campaigns online, which I came across, ad on TV, I was talking about the Galaxy S26 Ultra. Didn't even mention the S26 or the S26 Plus. So they're really going after the S26 Ultra. But you'll really like this design, especially if you've used an Ultra before. And it's more in line with the S26 and S26 Plus, having more rounded corners. It doesn't really dig into your palm of the hand when you're using it, so I really do appreciate that. Before I continue this video, I want to quickly talk about today's sponsor, Pitaka. You just spent over $1,000, $1,300 for this sleek, ultra thin phone. And the first thing most people do, they're gonna throw a thick plastic brick on it. Now it's gonna be even heavier, bulkier, and honestly, it ruins the design. That's why I have right here the Pitaka Aramid fiber case for the Galaxy S26 Ultra. And Pitaka is actually one of the pioneers of Aramid fiber phone cases, the same material used in aerospace and high performance gear. One, it's ultra slim, it's super lightweight, and there's no bulk at all. But here's where it gets interesting. This case has something called the Aaron button. So the Aaron button uses NFC activation to trigger shortcuts instantly. You can essentially program it to open your camera, launch your favorite apps, start a workout routine, turn on smart home controls, just one press and it works. It's basically turning your case into a productivity shortcut. Your phone, your routine, your rhythm. Now, instead of just protecting your Galaxy S26 Ultra, your case actually makes your phone smarter, and it keeps that original slim Samsung design intact. If you're picking up the Galaxy S26 Ultra, this is the case I'd pair it with. I'll leave my affiliate link down below. Check it out before you pick up your S26 Ultra. Thanks so much, Pitaka, for sponsoring a portion of this video. Now, let's get back to it. When we get to the display, there are some improvements here. Actually, there's a decent amount of improvements Samsung has really focused on. One, the 10-bit improvement. So it's a 10-bit display and actually does make a difference. It still has a 6.9-inch QHD Plus display, which is one of the best displays I've ever used on a smartphone. But that 10-bit color is noticeable. Gradients are smoother, HDR content looks richer, skin tones look more natural. And Samsung brought their Pro Scaler essentially from their TVs down into their S26 Ultra. It's subtle, but it's effective. So lower resolution videos will genuinely look sharper, especially YouTube content that isn't native 4K. 3 days in, I gotta say, like, this display impresses me every time I unlock it, and I just wanna watch videos. I just really want to use the display and play games on it because of how beautiful and gorgeous the quality is. I really do like it, and I think you will too. Moving on into the performance, inside we're getting the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 for Galaxy paired with 12 or 16 gigs of RAM. If you want 16 gigs of RAM, you have to pick up the model with 1 terabyte of storage. Just keep that in mind, but I think 12 gigs of RAM is plenty. Now, with this 8 Elite Gen 5, the CPU is up 19%, the GPU is up 24%, and the NPU is up 39%. And in real use, Zero stutters, zero frame drops in daily navigation, heavy multitasking is smooth, and gaming performance is stable. And what I like to do is I like to turn on developer options and make sure that my animation scale and my transition scale is at 0.5, so it just feels even smoother when using the phone. And there is a redesigned vapor chamber. It's a little bit larger than its predecessors, so that does help with heat dissipation as well. So if you're going to be using this for extended gaming sessions, it's going to run cooler than previous Ultras. And sustained performance also so far has felt really great. And usually what happens is when you're switching to a new phone, you'll feel the new phone get a little bit warm to the touch. And that was the case with last year's phone. This phone got like ever so slightly warm. It was to the point where I was genuinely surprised that it didn't get as warm as its predecessor. And that is really good. Like, that's saying a lot. I'm excited to continue to use this phone on the daily and push it to its boundaries and see how well it does in the performance department. Now, of course, with performance comes the software, and a lot of it has to do with the new AI features. Some are practical, some may be a little gimmicky. So the AI features that I really like is Photo Assist. I briefly tried it out at our hands-on in San Francisco, and it was pretty cool. So you're able to tell the phone what to do with an image. That feels really intuitive. Just remove, expand, adjust. And I tried it at home afterwards. It works really well. And it's multimodal. So you can essentially take like a part of an image from one image and extend it into the other image. So for example, like you're wearing a suit in one image and you want to put on a Buffalo Bills jersey. You can essentially take it from that other image, throw it on, and it'll swap out your suit for a Buffalo Bills jersey. Just, it works really well. There's also Creative Studio, and this is great for like stickers, social content, things like that. I don't know how practical Creative Studio is. Like, I don't think I'll be using it that much. And then Audio Eraser, and obviously these are apps that I have to kind of continue to use. So stay tuned for my full in-depth review of the S26 Ultra. But I briefly tried these during the hands-on. Audio Eraser looks promising because it's going to be working in third-party apps like YouTube and Instagram and Netflix. More are coming as well. I'm really excited to try that out. But I didn't talk about the privacy display yet, right? Because that's the feature that Samsung has been touting the most. So with privacy display, it's the world's first in mobile, and Samsung has been working on this for 5 years. So as you can see right here, you're looking at my phone, you can see it, and when I shift it to horizontal axis, you can still see it vertically, right? Because I don't have it turned on. However, with just one push of a button, right now it is turned on. So head on, like when you're looking at it, you can definitely see the display, right? But as soon as you shift it, you can't really see it. And then that's just horizontal axis. Look at that vertical axis. You still cannot see it. It's really good. And when you go into the settings for it, you can obviously, that was maximum privacy protection, so it kind of turns on that feature, and it's a hardware built-in feature. It turns on the entirety of the display. You can turn that off and have conditions for turning on. So for notification pop-ups, you can choose which apps you want to use. Privacy display, you can use it for your PIN, pattern, password. You can build a routine so it kind of geographically turns on when you're in a certain place. So as soon as you get home, it turns off. As soon as you leave your house, it turns on. So I think it's actually going to be really useful. And I gotta tell you, I think the most useful place for this feature especially is at an airport. Because at least for me, that's where like I'm surrounded by people, like by the most people, and in close vicinity, especially when you're in an airplane. You're sitting next to somebody and you just want to like send a text to friends and family and just want to keep it between you and friends and family. Or you're opening up a banking app or whatever it is. Like, it doesn't matter. You just want to turn that on and there you go. And it just works super well. Now, Samsung had said that they don't plan on bringing this to other like companies, brands, whatever. I don't think they're going to kind of give this feature off to anyone else for a while because they've been working on it for quite some time. Now, I've been seeing some comments of like, oh, it's grainy and this and that, and okay, but I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. At first I thought about the same. I'm like, okay, well, it kind of gets grayed out a little bit. But then after a couple of minutes, I'm like, oh, well, I'm fine with it. I don't mind it at all. I really do not care. So I really do appreciate the privacy display feature. I think you really have to try to see it, because those privacy screen protectors now, just throw them out the door. I don't think you're going to be needing them with this device. The camera, for the most part, has been very good, solid. In fact, I have to try it out a little bit more, and I'm excited to try out the video, especially go more in depth with this. But the 200 megapixel camera has a larger, or a new f1.4 aperture, so it's going to bring in more light. I believe Samsung has said like 47% in more light, so low light photos are going to look much better. So cleaner shadows, better dynamic range, and then more natural background blur. But there's a lot of things going on with the video. So with super steady video, there's that horizontal lock on, and like I'll literally go into video right now and kind of show you guys. So I'm in the regular mode, and I'm gonna turn on super steady with horizontal lock on. And as you can see, like I'm gonna lock on right here with Raging Bolt and Walking Wake. They're two Pokemon, if you don't know. They are the Paradox forms of Raikou and Suicune, but I'm going to shift my phone, like I'm gonna go 360. All right, literally just go 360, just like that. And bam. So now let's take a look at the video. And as you can see, it essentially, you see some motion, but for the most part, it locks on Raging Bolt and Walking Wake. In fact, you see a portion of my hand, but you don't see the phone flip over. You don't see the video footage flip over. I really do appreciate that. So it's using gyro and accelerometer data, which makes the handheld video smoother without that artificial warp look. And then there is the new professional video tools that makes this feel more like someone who's in the content space, who wants to make content. I think it's going to be very useful. So you go to more, and then you go to Pro Video. So there's the new APV video codec, which I tried it out, and it's great. There's built-in LUTs, and essentially, like I have this right here, so you can get a preview of the LUTs. So right now it's off, but then you can go to standard. There's blockbuster. There is coming of age, romance, thriller, or if you have your own LUTs and you want to throw it in afterwards and edit, then you can do that as well. But that's something I really do appreciate, this Pro Video mode. I think a lot of people are going to use it. If you guys want to see a dedicated like video of a video essentially from the S26 Ultra's footage, let me know in the comments down below. Overall, I'm excited to try the cameras out. But let's get into the battery life, because you know it's got the same capacity at 5,000 milliamp hours, and so far it's been good. I mean, it's limited, right? 72 hours, not that much, but it's been pretty good. And the new 60-watt super fast charging 3.0, which Samsung calls, that's a long name if you ask me, has been also pretty good. I do appreciate that Samsung did add faster charging. It's like you got to choose, I guess. It's either you get a larger battery capacity or faster charging. And I mean, I would have liked to have seen a faster or a larger battery, but I'll make do for faster charging right now, because from what I have seen so far in my use, the battery life has been pretty good. So I'm going to have to test it out more and see how well it does perform. There is no magnets, so you do need a case, which is why I have these Pitaka cases, and you can then use your MagSafe accessory. So that is a bit of a bummer. Samsung said they want to keep their profile slim, but honestly, I think it's just because of the S Pen. So it's like, is Samsung going to get rid of the S Pen? It seems that Samsung has stated that they are working and looking into it, into researching, adding magnets into their devices. So I hope they do bring these types of things. They're also researching into silicon carbon batteries. So again, I hope they bring like a 5,500 or a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. We still got some time, but I hope it does come into fruition. Now, there's some things that have impressed me after these 72 hours. Obviously, display has been number one. Display has been great. Improved thermals, the charging speed, getting a jump to 60 watts. The camera looks very promising. I'm excited to try that out. And obviously, there's other things too. And by the way, I didn't mention, but Dex is here still for productivity. but it's still $12.99. And I say that it's in a good way because the price didn't increase, but also it's $12.99. That's expensive. So if you're in the market looking for a phone, you really, truly have to make a good decision. But this phone does feel refined. It's not dramatic, it's not revolutionary, but refined. Samsung improved the performance, the cooling, the charging, the camera, the AI features. So if you're coming from a Galaxy S25 Ultra, it's going to be more of a refinement, which I probably wouldn't recommend, even from an S24 Ultra. If you have something like an S23 Ultra or older, I think you'll see the improvements. But it still feels like the most complete Android flagship currently on the market. The real question is, are these refinements enough for you? I think they're enough for me for right now, but again, we're still early in the year. We've got a lot of phones coming out, so stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, definitely be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. Best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot and will help push my content out to more people. And also check out my latest wallpaper pack right here. It's called Aura Layers. I recently dropped this. I've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. It's finally live, so take a look. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. Subscribe again if you haven't already. We're getting closer and closer to our goal each and every day to 100,000 subscribers. So join me along this journey. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.